Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome to Double9Radio.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm good. But I must say to you, I've had the phones blowing up before the show. I've had loads of messages coming through, on this Candid Expression Sunday, the uncensored version. And I said to them, I can't say too much. I got an expert coming on the show, but you must tune in if you want to know more about this topic that we have today. Quite a sensitive topic, I think, but I'm sure we will try and give as much information as we can. But we have an expert on the show. But without further ado, who do we have on the show this evening?
Hi, thanks for having me. I am Cecilia, all the way from Nigeria. I'm a certified relationship and marriage counselor, and I'm also a clinical sexologist. So there you have it.
Amazing. Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear that? I heard the last bit. The clinical sexologist. I don't think I've actually come across anyone as a clinical sexologist, but I'm so glad to have you on the show. See, ladies and gentlemen, see what we at Double9Radio do to ensure we bring the best information to you. Okay, Cecilia, welcome to the show today. Really happy.
Thank you.
Really happy you could take time out to come on the show. So, what are we talking about today?
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome.
So I believe we're talking about female orgasm.
Yes.
Something in that.
That word, it sounds like a very sacred word. The female orgasm. It's
very sacred.
It feels like it's some alien thing to some people. I don't know. Does everyone experience orgasm? But I mean, before we actually get into that, what is orgasm? What is that?
So orgasm is a sexual release. Right, it's a release that what men and women actually feel when some sort of stress have been let down and let out of the system through intimacy, through intercourse, through sex with a partner. So yeah.
Okay, so it's a release of sexual tension. You said.
Yes, sexual tension.
Okay,
yes.
Wow, release of sexual tension. When all the, the battleground is happening, then the tension has to be released in some way. But orgasm, I mean, that word, orgasm, yes, we know, I've heard of the word loads of times. A lot of people talk about it. But the female orgasm seems to be like a very little spoken about because sometimes we hear women don't even experience it, or some women have never experienced an orgasm, or don't even know what that is.
Right.
And also, there's been data, in the presses on the internet saying that there's always something called the orgasm gap. But I'm sure we'll get there as we go along the show. So, I mean,
yep.
What are there different types of orgasms as well?
Oh, of course, there are different kinds of orgasm. But let me just quickly say this. You mentioned that it's not people are not really talking about it. It's so little spoken about.
Yes.
Because of programming, because of maybe upbringing, culture, religion, and all of that. And so, sex in general is a topic that everybody is hush about.
Yes.
But every adult is having sex. At least 70, 80 to 90% adults are having sex,
yes,
whether you like it or not, So, yes, like you said, people are hush about it, but a lot of us are also now beginning to talk about it. Because when you don't talk about it, women are not able to express their feelings, because when you start talking about it, you realize that a lot of women don't even know what orgasm is, don't even know what sexual pleasure is. So a lot of people are in relationships having sex and just basically pleasing the man, not necessarily pleasing themselves, not enjoying the process, right? So, yeah, there are different kinds of orgasm. You have penetrative orgasm. You have, some people can orgasm through their nipple stimulation, through clitoral stimulation, and, what have you. But the most common of them is the clitoral stimulation, clitoral orgasm, right?
Okay.
So, research says that over 70% of women cannot orgasm via penetrative sex alone. Yes.
Yeah,
That's a huge number.
Yeah,
That's a huge number.
It is a huge number. I want to touch on something very important you mentioned there, where the society kind of shy away from talking about sex, from talking about pleasures of sex, and also the importance of sex in a relationship as well. And one of the points you also made is a lot of females have been or are in relationships or about to go in relationships where they might find themselves just pleasing the man in that relationship rather than understanding that they can apply some certain techniques to ensure they reach orgasm as well. But from your perspective, I mean, you describe yourself as someone who engages with couples to teach them on how to love each other, especially marriages. And you mentioned a clinical sexual. I can't even say that again. Clinical sexologist.
Clinical sexologist.
What is that? What is that? What kind of what do you do around? Who's a clinical sexologist?
So we're basically sex coaches. We understand the ins and the outs of intimacy, sex, love, pleasure, nutrition. As far as sexual activity is concerned, even sex education.
Yeah.
Yes, that's who a sexologist is. Somebody who teaches you how to do what, when.
Okay, that's very important.
Right, in the bedroom.
It is very
sexual.
important. Yeah. Very, very important. I mean, the know and to know when, I think is a very important one as well.
Yeah.
I'm excited to learn as well. I hope the listeners out there are excited to learn this evening. But I will gradually get into that. So, I mean, how important is it for a woman to be able to reach orgasm, when she's in a relationship?
It's funny you brought that topic up first. How important it is. It's very important. A woman who is not sexually satisfied in a marriage is a woman who is not going to give her all, whether she knows it or not. Because sometimes we kid ourselves and say, sex is overrated. When people say that, I know you're not getting it. You're not getting enough. You're not getting it good. So it's extremely important, health-wise, physical, and even mentally as well. It's important that you understand how to enjoy intimacy. Now, I need to quickly point something out. Yes?
Please, yes.
Orgasm isn't something that you can get at every point in time. Not every time you have sex, right?
Yeah.
And so people mistake orgasm for sexual pleasure. So I would rather say sexual pleasure because you can have an amazing sexual intimacy time with your spouse and not actually orgasm.
Yeah.
And not have that sexual release per se.
Mm.
I don't know if that makes sense. There are two
does.
different things. So there's orgasm and there's sexual pleasure.
Okay. I mean, with that,
right?
then before you actually move on that, so there's a bit of clarity.
Okay.
So there's a difference between having an orgasm and also being involved in sexual pleasure.
Yes.
So
there's a difference. It's a big difference.
What is the difference in that?
Okay, so one of the reasons why people don't even orgasm is that they put a lot of pressure on themselves. Oh, I have to have that big I have to have that earth-shattering orgasm. My body is shaking. I can't move my legs anymore, kind of thing. But truth is, you can actually just have a good time with your spouse, whether your husband or your wife. I mean, you can't tell me that every time you have sex with a woman, you actually orgasm. Some men don't actually orgasm all the time, but they enjoy the entire process. They enjoy the kissing, the touching, just making sure she orgasms or making sure she had a good time. And you're also fulfilled. So for me, I like to tread the part of, are we happy at the end of it? Are we sexually satisfied? As against, did we have an orgasm? Because you can have an orgasm with a girl you pick up off the street. She can have an orgasm, but is she really satisfied? So it's about sexual satisfaction, in my opinion, in my book, right? So sexual pleasure should be, all of these other things as against just focusing on orgasm. Now, when a woman is not sexually satisfied, she may not even orgasm just because she's not sexually satisfied. And for a woman to be sexually satisfied, there's a whole lot that has to happen. So if she's not mentally prepared, if she's stressed out, if there's a conflict that hasn't been resolved, no matter how sexy a man looks, no matter how chiseled and how many abs he has, he's not going to matter to her. He's not going to be attractive to her. So for a woman, it takes a lot more than just having an orgasm or just opening her legs and having a man coming. It takes a lot more for her to actually be sexually satisfied. So I think that what we should be focusing here on is the satisfaction that comes with sex, right?
Yeah.
The sexual pleasure, sexual satisfaction, as against, oh, we'll have a big O and then what? I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah. You know, I'm kind of
So, for
please carry on.
go ahead.
No, please carry on.
Okay, so basically what I'm saying is we need to change the narrative. We need to stop putting a lot of pressure on ourselves. We need to focus on what really matters. Because if the relationship is good, if communication is sorted out, if you fix finance, if you fix your in-laws, you fix everything that has to be fixed, parenting and stuff, naturally sex will flow. Sex will happen.
Yeah.
Sexual pleasure will come into play, right? For a man, you know, a man can almost every time have a release if he wants to. A man can have an amazing time in 5 minutes or less. For a woman to be properly satisfied sexually, most of the time, it takes a minimum of 20 to 25 minutes for you to even have her properly stimulated. So you see, it's not just about,
wait,
let
me comment that quickly. So let me understand that. So you say that the stimulation, it could take up to about 20 minutes to get the stimulation going. Not even before the act of the Royal Rumble, but before.
Yes, the Royal Rumble.
You know. So,
yes, if you put it that way, yes.
So
a woman typically takes her 20, 25 minutes or even more. So you see, foreplay has to take place, and all of these things has to happen. You know, foreplay is not when you get into the bedroom, by the way. Foreplay it's not when you get into the bedroom. It starts way before.
Right.
Way before. So if the both of you were not speaking, in the morning when you both went to work, or something happened in between, and that thing hasn't been sorted out, you can't just walk in, when you're all done and everybody's retiring to their room, and you just go, oh, turn over or bend over or something. It's not going to work. I mean, it works for some people where the man is the lion of the tribe of his home and the woman doesn't have a say.
Yeah.
It does happen for people like that, but that's not sexual satisfaction in any way.
Okay, Cecilia, before we move on, I've just had a question come in, and she says that I'm believing that it's a she. She says she still wants to hear the distinction between between orgasm and sexual pleasure, which is, I think, very vital. I wanted to get in there, but I didn't want to interrupt you because she says that some men also rush inside and rush out in 10 minutes, and I've clearly not satisfied the woman. So do you know what I mean? So I mean, I think it's very important to distinguish between the orgasm and sexual pleasure, because I mean, for me as well, I think Double9 needs to learn this as well. So I think it's very important we distinguish that very well. Okay,
so like I said, there's a difference between just having an orgasm, and I made mention of, you can pick up a girl from the street and she'll have an orgasm. Doesn't mean that she's sexually satisfied. But I'm going to talk based on a married relationship, because I'm a marriage relationship counselor and I'm a Christian. So I'm going to talk based on a man and a woman who are legally married, in the society. So so when you talk about a woman who is sexually satisfied, you talk about a woman who is well nurtured, a woman who is well cared for, a woman who has a fantastic relationship with her husband, right? And for orgasm to even take place, for most women, that has to happen. But what I'm also trying to say what I've been trying to say is, when a woman is not sexually satisfied, right? Or when you're trying to get a woman to be sexually satisfied, you've got to pay attention to different things. It's not all straight. Let me go there and give her orgasm. See, what you call orgasm is different from what the woman calls orgasm. Because the man goes in there. Have you heard about women who actually fake it, and the man is feeling like a champion? Yes, I made her scream.
Yeah, we do hear that as
well. And she's been faking it all along. If a woman can actually fake it, she's not satisfied. If a woman decides, oh, I want to be faking because what it means is, I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I'm not even interested in this thing. I'm just doing it because I have to do it. It's obligatory for me to do it to my husband, right? And so she's not satisfied. For her to be satisfied, you need to take your time. Everything has to be in place. Her mental health, you need to release the stress. You have to have beautiful communication with your wife. Both of you have to actually be in a good place. And when you're in bed, for some women, it doesn't have to end up in the big O. And she's had an amazing time. And she's like, I'm actually very good. And it's not, did you come? No, I did not. But I'm actually very good. I'm happy.
So that's the pleasure.
Satisfied.
That's the sexual pleasure.
That's the sexual pleasure.
Okay.
She understands.
Yeah.
So it will not see the big O, unless people are just lying to themselves. It doesn't happen all of the time. It doesn't happen. But are you satisfied? Are you happy? It's about both of you. It's not about one person. Because what happens in most cases is the man knows himself. The man knows that he can orgasm in like 5 minutes or less, right? And so he feels like the woman also should be able to orgasm in 5 minutes or less. Unfortunately, in most cases, that is not true. That's not the case.
Okay.
And so he's trying to do all that he can, and he's going in and out and in and out and just being, who's your daddy and all of that. And then at the end of the day,
fighting the wrestling match and daggering and and nothing
exactly.
And nothing's
exactly.
happening. So wait, I wanna ask you a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that I mean I love the definition you gave there that you can have everything okay. The scene is set, and you guys are. Oh, we have a caller already. Okay, I'm gonna take the call. Good evening, good morning.
Okay.
Sorry. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good evening, Double9.
Oh my word! I know that voice already. I know that voice. That is our relationship consultant, Fumi. Hello, how are you?
Good evening, Double9. I'm good, thank you very much.
Fantastic. So, have you got a question or comment for our guest host today?
I think she's done a great job so far. Thank you very much. But as I kept on listening, I just felt like some things weren't really added up, and I just wanted her to clarify a few things. She's just said, really, before I came on, that men can have orgasm. So obviously the expression or the evidence of the orgasm is the ejaculation. And so I think it's probably fair to define that orgasm as that release, as we've said. So with the woman in that case, and she's just said as well that women can be in the act and, the sexual pleasure. I'm struggling to marry the two together in terms of the sexual pleasure, because if you are enjoying it, it does, just like the men. I mean, I'm not a man. Double9, you may be able to help with that a little bit, but I'm just thinking, for a man to reach the point of release is because he's in the act of the activity in itself, and
the tension has been climaxed or something.
He's enjoying the activity, right? And so on his part. Now, if the woman isn't enjoying it, I mean, I would have thought it's the same thing. She's enjoying it, and she's able to get to that destination as well of ejaculation. Albeit there are different types to it as well, the squirting, the normal ejaculation, and what have you. But my point is, for the sexologist, is she's just said that, the key thing is the sexual pleasure. So how can you then claim to enjoy or to be pleasured when there isn't any evidence of the evidence of the pleasure is usually ejaculation? So how can you balance that unless you're saying you're enjoying or the pleasure?
Okay, I see your point. Okay. Cecilia, did you get that?
Not entirely. It wasn't very clear.
Okay.
So if you could just summarize.
Okay, what you're saying? How do you measure, enjoying sex? Is it by ejaculation, or is it just because it's been pleasurable? Because for a man, ejaculation is almost the sense of satisfaction for a man. But if a woman does not ejaculate or come or doesn't orgasm, does that also contribute to her sexual pleasure? Can that be defined as her being sexually pleased?
Okay, so first of all, let me actually just say this. Some men enjoy the process without, having an orgasm, without ejaculating. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong in that. I'm just saying there's a lot of emphasis and a lot of pressure on, ejaculation and orgasm, right? And it's like, let me say this. Orgasm is like a destination. Yeah, for lack of better words. Orgasm is like a destination. So most people skip the process and they're just going straight into, just having orgasm, right? We're talking about the entire process. Now, let me just quickly also say this. A woman can buy herself a vibrator and get herself to orgasm in like 2 minutes or less, depending on the pressure or, how effective the vibrator is. But there will always be that void. There will always be that void. The process isn't there. The entire, pleasure, the satisfaction isn't there. It's just temporal. I don't know if that makes sense. So orgasm is a destination.
I see.
Enjoying the entire process is the journey towards there. And sometimes, like I said, you won't get to orgasm, but you would have had a good time. Yes, there is no way to measure. I mean, who's measuring? Who is counting? Who's putting out these laws anyway? Who's saying without orgasm you've not had a great time? So for me, what I want couples to start seeing or start understanding is it is on your own terms. As long as the both of you are sincerely happy and nobody is faking it or just doing it for the other person's pleasure. Because what that will eventually do is one party will be resentful towards the other person. It happens 100 out of 100 times. When you're just in the sexual act for your partner, not for yourself, you're not enjoying it, you're not digging it, you eventually will get to a point where you resent your partner. So you see, it's an entire thing. It's like you can't just take one and leave the other. Okay. So what I'm saying is, rather than focus on getting to the destination, enjoy the entire process, because sometimes you won't get there because of stress, because of workload, because of whatever it is.
Okay.
But if the both of you are able to take care of each other, the man is focused on making the woman enjoy herself. The woman is focused on making the man enjoy themselves. Then you don't have any problem at all. Orgasm will come if it comes.
Okay.
Again, don't forget that not every woman can actually orgasm.
Yeah, we will get to that. But for me, are you okay with that response?
Not quite, but I.
Yes, I want to ask you a question though. But thank you for.
You said not quite. What exactly? Can't you understand? Is it the measuring? How do you now measure, or what exactly is the challenge here?
So much of measuring. I think it's really when you're talking about enjoying something, especially when you're enjoying. Again, another example is if you're doing the foreplay, literally maybe, I don't know, oral, for instance. Another expression of enjoying or being pleasured is you are stimulated. And so signs of stimulation is wetness and, without talking too much and all of that, is there usually is some sort of evidence to
measure the height,
to know that because you would hear the man saying, "Oh, you're so wet," because he can tell for you to get to a point where you're being wet or feeling wet, or he feels you're wet, is because he can tell you're enjoying it. So there's always.
Oh no! Some women can actually be wet without enjoying it.
Pardon?
Sorry to interrupt. Some women can be wet but not enjoy sex at that particular time. So if you're measuring by how wet the woman is, then you'll be measuring wrongly, or you're using the wrong measuring item or something. Some women can actually be wet, but they're not enjoying it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we also need to know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. I mean, I'm having messages come in as well, saying that they kind of say, I have one here saying that a man doesn't necessarily have to ejaculate to enjoy sex, which is what
Absolutely.
What Cecilia was saying. But for me, as always, please, yes, I know you can call back again, but do keep listening as we carry on with the show.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so.
Thank you. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, I mean, I want to ask a question. I mean, now, from the perspective of what Fumi, who just called in, so actually, no, before I actually go into that, I did read this message. Please, when you send a message in, do say your name so at least you know I'm reading your message. So I have someone who sent a message. A man doesn't necessarily have to ejaculate to enjoy sex. A man can ejaculate and not necessarily have the pleasure. Some women can be wet as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's 100% correct.
Okay. So my question here is, looking at what Fumi said, that how do you measure the sexual pleasure? And, because yes, your partners are together, doing the foreplay, doing all sort of things, and what happens is, during that time, is it that when the man kind of like reaches, his own orgasm, then the woman feels okay. But what is the measure to say, okay, they're both okay, they're fine, they enjoy that? I understand the fact you mentioned about, trying to reach an orgasm is a journey, which is fantastic, because it's a journey you're working towards that. Sometimes you might not get to that journey, to the end of that journey, which is the orgasm. But when you're describing the sexual pleasure, what is the measure to say both parties have been sexually pleasured and they're satisfied with that?
So you're asking, take the question again.
Okay, so going to what Fumi said, saying that what is the measure of the sexual pleasure?
Okay, one of the things that I said earlier was who's actually measuring, whose rules.
Okay, I understand. I understand that.
So it's between the man and the woman.
Okay.
Like I said, the woman can actually be okay, and the man is saying, "Are you okay?" And says, "Yeah, I'm actually very good." That's
right.
Communication. It's between the both of them. They are talking. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They are talking. You see, sex is such an art. It's a beautiful gift from God, and so when people just say it's a one-way traffic thing, I don't think it is. Anybody can define what it is for them. But what I want people to know is you need to put in the work. You need to actually care for the other person enough to want them to be excited and happy and satisfied at the end of it all.
Okay.
You can't get there by being selfish.
Very good. Very good.
Selfish is a strong word, right? But selfish is something you can do without even knowing that you're being selfish about something. So when you really, really care about the other person's feelings and you're concerned about their satisfaction, both of you are the ones in charge. Both of you can measure. Both of you know whether it was a good time or not.
Okay.
That's what I just want people to take away from this. Don't let the pressure of the sexual world, the pornography world, and all of that just push you into. It doesn't happen like that all the time. It's between the two people involved. As long as the both of you are happy, as long as the both of you can talk about it, then you're good.
Fantastic. One of the things you just mentioned about pressure. I mean, it's a huge thing among the society, as you know, where people kind of like succumb to the pressure of individuals who talk about sex, who talk about coming, who talk about engaging in some sexual acts. Most importantly, for new couples who maybe have recently got married, or they're trying to maybe get together and propose to themselves that, they want to get married. And
right.
the lady maybe has had an experience of, coming or having an orgasm as a regular thing for her. And, a man comes into that relationship and he's not really aware of how to make that woman have the orgasm. But he's able to pleasure the woman in such a way that maybe not to get to that journey. So how do you, kind of like, would you advise that kind of like, couple to say, how can they communicate with each other?
So when you look around, you find that there are lots of sexologists out there. There are lots of people putting out good content for sexual pleasure and sexual intimacy in marriage, right? So you can start by maybe buy a book go on Amazon, search. You can check for the right things to do. And this has to happen between the two of them. They have to agree that they want to either learn how to do this or learn how to spice it up a little bit or learn how to do something new, right? So you have sexologists out there. There are lots of them, really. You can take courses. There are lots of courses out there as well. You have to learn. You actually have to learn. And the worst place to learn as couples is to go to the porn website. The worst place, because that's a lot of pressure. So everybody does exactly what they see in the porn movies. So if you have any issues, any challenge, especially as a Christian, if you are, I'm sorry, no offense to those who are not, right? Yeah. You need help. It's like someone who is sick, someone who has an ailment. Where do you go? Where do you go? You go to a doctor, right? If you have a car that is not working, where do you go? You take it to the mechanic. If you have a sexual life that is not exactly satisfactory, you look for a sexologist or a sex therapist. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
But if you want to comb the internet, you can actually comb the internet. It takes a lot of time, and you might see some things that you shouldn't really bother yourself about. But if that's the way you want to go, that's also fine.
I mean, it's a good thing you mentioned that, because a lot of people focus on porn as a way of learning, and I think, as you mentioned, it's actually not the way to do it, because those individuals are actors, isn't it? They're actors and actresses trying to act.
They're actors. What you see takes hours to actually shoot. Some take days to actually shoot. I also hear that some people take drugs to be able to last that long. So you find a guy who thinks that he can last 20 minutes just going in and out of his wife. And that's not exactly pleasurable for her. It's not pleasurable, because you're going to bruise her anyway. If you're crossing in an hour for 20 minutes, you definitely would bruise her. That's the truth.
Okay, fantastic.
So porn is not the right place to go to get this information. But again, everybody has their own way of learning. Whatever works for you, but it is not the best place to actually learn, because you get exposed to all manner of things that are not healthy, and then your mind starts going into places that you shouldn't even go in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you go from one point to another, and you just keep growing like that. You don't know where to stop. Eventually, you just get addicted, and you don't want to get addicted to porn.
Fantastic. I have a comment from another one of our listeners as well. This is a guy. He says, so women only have orgasms by touching their clit during sex. If their husband, the husband might feel a bit puzzled about this, especially if that's what the ladies used to do before getting married. What advice would you say to that?
So if I get the question correctly, he's asking if the clitoris is the only way a woman gets an orgasm?
No. He's actually put a scenario together. Sorry, it's a woman. Sorry about that. I saw the name now, Bimbo. So the lady's saying that possibly the only way that she can come or get to an orgasm is by touching her clit during sex. So, but if she tries to, the husband might feel a bit puzzled, during a sexual intercourse, because this is what she's used to before she gets married, and she's asking, like, how does she incorporate that, or what other way maybe to get, to reach that orgasm?
So what I usually teach people is focus on what gives you the most pleasure. And you remember I said earlier that 70 to 80% of women can never orgasm via penetrative sex alone.
Yeah.
And so you need to understand that there's nothing wrong with you having clitoral orgasm. First of all, the clitoris is such an amazing part of the woman's reproductive organ, because God put the clitoris there strictly for sexual pleasure. You need to understand that. And so when a man's going in and out of the woman, he forgets that her major pleasure zone is the clitoris. So if a woman comes by, you don't need to feel guilty in any way. What the both of them need to do is to communicate. This is what feels good to me. This is what pleasures me the most. And so when I say that the clitoris is a sexual organ, it has over 8,000 nerve endings
Yes.
compared to the penis. The penis has about 4,000. The woman's clitoris alone has over 8,000. She doesn't pass urine through her clitoris. She doesn't do any other thing. It is strictly for pleasure, right? And there are so many other pleasure zones in the woman's body. Some people have their pleasure zones, behind their neck, their hair, their fingers, their hands. There's so many pleasure zones. So it is wrong for a man to just focus on penetrative sex alone, because a lot of women never orgasm via that alone.
So let's
it doesn't mean that women don't.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. It's just this question just popped into my head.
That's fine.
So this myth of a man thrusting so hard, like bang, bang, like I'm gonna do you know what I mean? All that's just a waste of time.
Oh yes, it is. For most women. Women. For some people, they're wired, they've been programmed to accept that, and they actually feel good when a man is thrusting in and out in such a crazy manner. Some people enjoy it, no doubt. Okay? But not a lot of women enjoy it. And then, sometimes a woman who actually likes it gentle can actually also want it rough, depending on what has transpired before then. So understand that some people, when they're having like makeup sex, it can be crazy. When they're having like a quickie, it can be boom, 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 boom. But it doesn't have to last for too long. She's going to eventually dry out down there and she's going to get bruised. So it takes communication between the man and the woman to know what feels good and when. Because what feels good to a woman now may not feel good the next minute. So communication is actually key in all of these things. So if she feels good and has her orgasm when she stimulates her clitoris, she needs to let her husband know. And the husband also needs to know, okay, so why I'm doing this, you like this one. There has to be that communication. There's so many other things, that you can do to pleasure her, to make her scream your name and say, you're my daddy. You know what I mean? So don't feel bad in any way if you have clitoral orgasm alone. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all.
Okay, I
don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. I'm having loads of questions just coming in at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, just bear with me. I know it's a very exciting topic. I have another question from Mendoza who says, is coming the same as having an orgasm? I think we need to, but I'll let you answer that question first.
Yes, it's the same. People can call it whatever. It's the same. You're coming, you're having a release. That's what coming means, and that's what release means. That's what orgasm means. So it's the same thing. Ejaculation and all of that. That's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Okay, now, you mentioned that not a lot of ladies as well have been able to experience what an orgasm is. So, can we describe? Maybe some have it, some have not. I don't know. Can we describe what happens in the body when there's an orgasm, or does it depend on the type? There are different types of orgasms, I believe.
Yes, there are different kinds of orgasms.
Actually, maybe tell us.
What typically happens?
I didn't even know. What are the types of orgasms? What are do you have like mind-blowing orgasms? Do you have the ones you're screaming the house down? You have the one you're just having it in the corner. You have the one you can sit on the bus and your body's all, What are these different types of orgasms? I mean, women are very, very complicated beings there. So what are the different types of orgasms out there?
You see, one person can actually have like various kinds of orgasms depending on, the events of the day, her mindset, where she's at, and, and how patient and good the man is as well, right? So you can have like a very subtle, quiet, no noise orgasm, and you can have shattering, like you're shaking kind of orgasm. And you can actually even squirt. So squirt is like the highest form of orgasm. I don't know if any of you know, but when a woman squirts, it's crazy. It's like ejaculation. So she ejaculates liquid that is not urine, right? And so the reason why I usually don't even try to differentiate all of this is because you find people, people like competition. We like to, when you've conquered one, you want to conquer the next one. And that can also put a lot of pressure. So there are different kinds of orgasms, right? And when a woman orgasms, certain hormones are released in her body. You know, your oxytocin, your serotonin, they are released in the body. They are feel-good hormones. And it's why when a woman has a good time, she most likely sleeps off. So her body is calm. That's why I said it's a release.
Okay.
So you're calm. Yeah, you're calm. Some people, when they're orgasm, they laugh out hysterically. It's like, you know, I don't want to go about it.
So, Cecilia, Cecilia, so in an action, in a Royal Rumble that occurs, so if the woman does not sleep, maybe she goes on her phone. That means nothing has happened.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
That's
not what I'm saying. Double9, don't mean trouble. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. A woman's mind. Let me tell you something. A woman functions very differently from a man.
Okay.
And a woman's body is very different from a man. So when a man releases, right, what happens to the man is he goes down, like the hormone just goes down. The
chemicals released
level in the man it goes down. He goes limp. If you notice, it's practically impossible for a man to come up again and again. But a woman can have multiple orgasms at once. Like she just comes down, she wants to get it up again and keep going. A woman can have multiple orgasms, but a man may not be able to. So a man it's the reason why, for ladies, let me educate you, the reason why after sex, he turns over and he's asleep. It's not his making, it's in his DNA. It's the way he was made. But now we're teaching men to be very, be at alert, so that when you come and she's calm, rather than just turn and sleep off, at least hold her to yourself and sleep off. So there's a cuddling part, because a woman wants to be cuddled. So she may not necessarily sleep off, even though a lot of the time that's what happens. But if her mind is still alert, she has some work to do, some messages to respond, she might just quickly get her phone or grab something to quickly do it, or quickly go to the kitchen to grab a drink or grab a snack or something. There's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean she didn't have a great time. Doesn't mean she did not ejaculate or orgasm.
Okay.
So don't even look at your woman and say, you told me yes you did, but you're still awake. Sometimes you can still be awake. So don't go putting anybody's trouble.
Okay, I think on that note, I need a break. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you. I need a break. We shall be back on the other side to find out more about the female orgasm. Stay locked on, stay locked in. It's your host, Double9, on the uncensored version of Candid Expression Sunday with our sexologist, Cecilia. Stay locked on, stay locked in. It's Double9Radio. It's the Candid Expression Sunday uncensored version with our one and only guest co-host today, Cecilia, Bedroommatterss, the sexologist. Amazing. I hope you learned a lot already, because, mate, I've learned so much already. I hope you have as well. So what we learned so far, we learned about the female orgasm, which is a release of tension when the Royal Rumble is happening. So the tension is released in that way. So what are the different types of orgasms? Our fantastic clinical sexologist says you could have earth-shattering type of orgasms, or you can have quiet ones as well. And also, she's all mentioned about squirting. She will define what squirting is before the end of the show, but yes, and say whether everyone can squirt. We don't know. And also, she defined what sexual pleasure can be and what orgasms can be as well. Orgasm is a journey. On that journey, you can experience sexual pleasures. During the sexual pleasure doesn't mean you're going to reach orgasm, but communication ensures that the sexual pleasure is enough for both parties. Hope you're learning as we go ahead. Cecilia, welcome back to the show. I am so excited to have you on the show. So,
thank you. So excited to be here.
You know, so we keep talking about orgasm this, orgasm that. You know, females ejaculating and but I'm sure there's some gentlemen out there who might not have experienced on the know-how to get their lady to that orgasmic level. Because we mentioned earlier as well, which you rightly pointed out, that some women are in relationships where, because maybe they've never experienced what an orgasm is, they're just in a relationship pleasing the partner, because when he comes, that's it, he's okay, because he's not really paying attention to what the woman's needs are. But before we actually go into maybe some of the techniques you could share, what happens to a woman's body when she is experiencing an orgasm?
What happens to a woman's body?
Yes.
She just practically releases the stress. There's so many hormones that are released in her body, So it's an internal work, and it's also a mental thing where a woman is in the moment. She's enjoying herself. Like I said, hormones are being released. She's feeling good about the entire process. Blood circulation all over the body. She actually does have a good time, and so many things happen in the body that we may not actually see. We can't even see them, physically, but you can actually experience them. You can feel them inside of you. You know exactly when you've had an orgasm. And like I say to some women, if you don't know what it feels like, then you probably haven't had an orgasm before.
Wow. That's you're missing out a lot, isn't it? You're missing out a lot of things there. A lot of excitement. And tension release.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are some of the techniques, couples, especially the man who probably doesn't know whether his wife has reached an orgasm or not, what kind of techniques can be applied to this female anatomy to ensure that orgasmic feel does happen? I'm not talking about squirting. We'll define squirting because I know squirting, like not a lot of people, not everyone can squirt. I mean, I don't know, I stand corrected.
Not everyone can.
Okay.
No, not everyone can.
Okay, we get that. We get that. Okay, so let's share some techniques. I'm sure my male listeners are listening attentively out there, and the female ones as well. Say, what are the techniques? Because we said that the stimulation of different parts of the anatomy of the female can induce an orgasm. So over to you, Cecilia.
So the first thing is to give her permission to explore her body and explore her body with her. So that means communication. Communication is number one. The both of you can talk about what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what turns her on, what doesn't. Then you will struggle with, trying to pleasure her sexually. You definitely will. So give her permission to express herself. Both of you need to do some talking. And this talk doesn't even have to happen when you're having sex. So, planning date night is very important, and you talk about what really matters. Now, a lot of couples plan date night, and they're talking about serious matters. Date night is supposed to be a time where you relax, leave work outside of the door. It's just both of you, talking about each other, what went good at work, what didn't go well, how life has been. It's just basically being friends with each other again. What happened? How was it when the both of you were dating? So communication for me is number one. You need to ask her what she likes, what feels good for her, what are her fantasies. A lot of people don't know that women have lots of fantasies. We actually do, but we can't tell you because we don't know how you would take it. Whether you see us as bad girls or girls that are loose or wayward. So talk, find out what exactly feels good to her. The second thing is explore her body with her. Find out the different erogenous zones that she has. Take your time. Don't be in a hurry. It's not a light switch that you just turn it off and on whenever you please. Take your time. Focus on her, right? And then also make sure that she's properly lubricated. Properly lubricated. It's important. Because when a woman is dry, first of all, you won't even enjoy it so much. And lubrication comes in different ways. You want to lubricate with your saliva. If you want to have lubes on, fine, fantastic, right? But make sure she's not dry when you're walking down there. Then you need to also know your wife's body. Focus on the clitoris if she hasn't been circumcised, And even if she's been circumcised, the nerves are still there, depending on the kind of circumcision that she actually received, okay? So there are different circumcisions. Some just, chop off the clitoris, but doesn't mean that the clitoris is all gone. Now, the clitoris, like you all know, it is just that tiny little thing that you see on top of her vulva, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the entire clitoris. The clitoris goes down. It's actually, I think, about 6 is it 6 inches now? 6 centimeters long. It's actually very long, but it's hidden behind the vulva, right? So you need to focus on the vulva and focus on her clitoris because that's her major pleasure zone for a lot of women, right? And foreplay is very, very key. Oral sex is very, very important. These are the things you need to pay attention to.
Fantastic.
And then you take it from there.
Okay.
You know, pay attention to her, talk to her, know her clitoris, know her body well, and then, you know, take it from there.
Okay. We have...
And again, don't focus too much on the orgasm. Don't pressure her into orgasm. Because if you do what feels good, she will naturally orgasm.
Very important. Very important point. Okay, we have Fumi back on the line now. Fumi, yes, you're live, to Cecilia now.
Thank you very much, Double9. It's been quite insightful, I must say. I wanted to just take Cecilia back, about 30 minutes back, if anything, just for clarity. Did she say that you can come without enjoying the sex? And likewise, you can enjoy the sex and not come. Is that correct?
No, I didn't say you can come without enjoying it. I'm saying you can come, but it's a temporal thing. And that's why I gave I described when a woman uses like a vibrator. You can come, and it's just like a temporal thing. It's not the entire thing for a woman, right? So you can come, and it's short-lived, right? But you can also have sexual pleasure without necessarily having an orgasm.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, from that description, because what came to mind, it's a bit of a sensitive topic actually, because then I started thinking maybe those that have been in an uncomfortable or compromising position such as rape, for instance, is it possible for those kind of people in that case to actually obviously not enjoy the process of it, but what if they do come in that process, and a part of them have to then live with, maybe guilt that they didn't want it, but it happened, and they come. So I was just trying to kind of marry the two together that, from what you said, that you can actually go through the whole exercise, possibly not necessarily enjoy or short-lived, but you came. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yes, I see. Yeah, absolutely. Again, when it comes to, rape, I don't know how a woman can actually come or how a woman can experience orgasm in a rape situation. I don't know how possible it is.
Yeah.
I've never had a client who's
I feel sad for that. For me, let's not open wounds of people who might be listening and might have experienced that as well. That's it's quite a touchy one. I know.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm not sure. I don't know. But I'm also going to say this. I was actually raped as a young girl, as a child, growing up severally by different people, right? But again, at the age when it happened, I don't think any young girl has a consciousness of what was happening to them as far as orgasm is concerned. That's why I said some people may have been raped at older ages, people in their 20s or their 30s. Of course, and maybe you feel some sort of, get there or what have you. But it was rape, and rape is rape.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Rape is rape. So what I'm saying is I don't know anybody who have enjoyed rape. I don't know.
I know.
But
okay, let's come back into the exciting part. That rape one is just very heartbreaking on that one, but it's a good question to ask. For me, yes, we have to come and touch on that as well, which is quite good. Okay, so any other questions? Or you got another comment?
No, that's it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, that was a touchy one there as well. But yes, we do have to sometimes tread the thin line as well. Okay, so you defined, the techniques about trying to get your woman to get to that orgasm state, to get to that wonderful climax, maybe earth-shattering, I don't know. You said understand her body, try and not to rush into, doing the do, and use your tongue. Tongue action is very important. But now,
Yeah.
I've had incidences or reports of men who think, oh my gosh, going down is a taboo, especially within the African community. Do you think that should be a no-go for men, or they should be able to explore that because they want to, get down and get that woman to, reach orgasm?
See, when it comes to that particular topic, it's a personal thing, right? People have their different beliefs, and so my job is not to tell people to do it or not to do it. One thing I do know is it is not a taboo. As a Christian, there are books in the Bible that actually suggest oral sex, right? But again, people would interpret anything to suit whatever they believe in. Oral sex is beautiful. Oral sex is even there in the Bible. I mean, I did some posts a few weeks ago on oral sex, and I put some Bible verses to back it up. But even in that, some Christians are still saying that what I was saying was wrong. And so I said, to you, everybody, whatever works for you, go and focus on what works for you. If you and your husband are having an amazing time, both of you don't believe in oral sex, that's fine. But it's not a bad thing. Scripturally, it's there. In the Songs of Solomon, you see a lot of, where the bride and the groom are talking about exploring, and, he's kissing her breast and kissing, the pomegranate. Is that how it's pronounced? They use all of this fruit to describe the different parts of a woman's body.
Wow.
So when if you really need to understand, take your time to, to do the research and find out why. Are you saying it's a taboo because of what you've been told, or because you've been convinced that it's a taboo? Amazing. Again, if you think it's a taboo, it's all great. It's your cup of beans. I enjoy it. I teach people how to enjoy it. I teach men how to give good, good head to their wives, and I teach women how to do the same for their husbands. But if it doesn't work for you, there's no pressure. It has to be what obtains between two people in a marriage setting. As far as I'm concerned, that's what matters. It tops whatever I have to say.
Yes.
It tops whatever Cecilia has to say.
You're very right.
So
right.
In my book, it's not a taboo. In my book, it's not a sin. It's there in the Bible. It's not a sin. Treat your wife with understanding.
Fantastic.
That's what the Bible says. And so if she enjoys it and you're not giving her, and you constantly just want to go in and out, and she's bruised all the time and she's not happy, you're not treating her with understanding. You're not treating her with understanding. You're not caring for her the way she wants to be cared for. You're not making love to her the way she wants to be made love to. You're doing to her what you think she should feel good about, but you don't have a right over what makes her feel happy or what makes her feel good. Just like she doesn't have a right over what makes you happy. You see, in Africa, in Nigeria to be precise, I think that we live double standard life here. Because you see a man who enjoys getting a blowjob from his wife, but he can't get down there. I feel like that's double standard.
I mean, you put the clarity in there, that there is some scriptural backing on that one. Again, it's a decision of the individuals who are in that relationship. But more well and true, it will be a pleasurable thing if the woman actually likes that as well, to enable her to reach that orgasmic state as well. Okay, now I want to talk about, what is the G-spot?
Okay. I was expecting this question. So different people have a different understanding of what a G-spot is. And I usually like to teach this in a graphic. So it's not something I can really, really explain on radio. If it was like a TV or like a live streaming video thing, then I can properly show you. But G-spot rather, G-spot is part of the clitoral or a part of the woman's vaginal network. There's no one thing that stands out on its own, right? Like most people project that it is. It's still part of it, but it's a, what's the word? There's a particular part of the woman's vagina that, gives her the most pleasure. And so the best way to define it or to describe it is when you insert your finger inside the woman's vagina, right, you make like a come here sign with your finger, like, you know, you're saying come. You know how you tell someone come with just your fingers? So imagine you insert that in the woman's vagina and you're doing the come here sign.
Okay.
Right? If you pay attention, yes. If you pay attention at that upper end of the woman's vagina wall, you would feel like a different kind of feeling somewhere there. So it's not like there's a patch where something was removed and put there. It's all part of it. But it takes patience, you know, to actually try and figure it out. And that's why women, most people don't know this, but a lot of women enjoy doggy style the most. And you know why? When you're in that position, the man can actually hit that G-spot area easily. So it's why it's very pleasurable to women.
I can see people just say, yep. I can see messages just coming in. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes,
Ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
It's why the doggy style is very orgasmic. It's an orgasmic sexual position for a woman. Because when the man is going in and out, he's directly hitting where it should be. You know, if he knows how to inch forward or down, depending on how they're positioned and depending on the height difference. You know, so there's a G-spot. It takes patience to actually find it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Get patience to actually find it as well. You see the come action. You say when you tell it to come with your fingers.
The come.
Oh, with the tongue.
You know how, like, you know, just imagine me just using my finger and saying, come here.
Yeah, so with your finger, yeah, you inserted it into that area to find.
Into the vagina, and when you're doing a come, instead of going straight in and out, you inch up a bit and you're like out, you will definitely feel it somewhere there.
Okay, fantastic.
But again, not every woman can experience that. We also have to always leave that room so that some people don't think there's something wrong with them. We've tried it, we're not able to find it. There's nothing wrong with you if you don't find it. Everybody is different.
Okay. Yeah, that's very important as well. I mean, which brings us to the next segment, which we must talk about, is, you know, there's been reports, as there's been medical data as well, medical proof that some women do experience problems, you know, with orgasm, you know. Some, you know, not all women can orgasm because they suffer some kind of like issue called orgasmic dysfunction, if I'm correct.
Yes. There's something called orgasmic dysfunction, female orgasmic dysfunction. And it's also called anorgasmia, right? So it's a situation where a person or woman has no feeling, no sexual feeling or desire at all towards anybody. It's true. So some women think there's something wrong with them. You know, you have to go get it checked out because it could be a combination of different things. But yes, there are people who have never, ever orgasmed and never felt anything sexual towards anybody. You know, and there are different levels to it. There's a primary anorgasmia, there's a secondary, and of course there's a situational one. I don't know if you want me to go into all of this thing in detail. It's a condition.
Yeah, it's good to know. The reason I actually wanted us to actually touch on that is so couples who might be, you know, having sex and sexual intercourse, and it seems like maybe the man seems to just enjoying the sex more, with the woman not reaching that, you know, orgasm, could be suffering a slight form of orgasmic dysfunction. If it can happen, right?
Oh yeah, it can happen. So, like I said, the primary anorgasmia or orgasmic dysfunction is when a woman has never ever had an orgasm. Never. It's very primary. There could be a reason why, and it's, you know, during the diagnosis, you know, there could be some help that she can get, and she can eventually orgasm. Now, there's a secondary one where the woman has done everything. The man is very patient. He takes his time. He knows her clitoral network very well. He's very patient. He does everything right. But even in that situation, she's still not able to come, right? And, of course, there's a situational orgasmia where a woman can come, but sometimes there are different reasons why she can't come, right? And sometimes the woman comes only when she is able to take care of herself. That also means that the man has to learn what actually works for her. Do you understand?
Yeah, yeah. So
are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I am here. So,
okay, then of course the final one, the general anorgasmia, where under any circumstance, even no matter what you do, the woman is still not able to come because she's not properly stimulated, right? So if she's properly stimulated in that sense, then she can come. But if she's not able to come. And there are various reasons why, that condition can actually present in a woman's life.
I mean, it's a good thing we had to mention that as well. So, people don't feel a bit pressured if they haven't experienced it before. It might be a condition they might have which they can get checked out. And there are treatments for that, I believe.
Yeah, there are treatments. So depending on what the diagnosis is, right? So for some people, the reason why they can't orgasm is medical condition. Maybe you have diabetes. For some people who have orgasm before, but after a while they're not able to, it might just be menopause, or you're just growing older. You're not self-lubricating anymore. There's so many reasons there. There's also a reason where a woman has had multiple gynecological surgeries.
Right.
So, for instance, if a woman has had like a hysterectomy done, or multiple CES, cesarean sections,
Yeah.
So in that case, you need to go see your doctor. There are some drugs or some medications that you have to go through, but they have to do proper examination to determine. Now, some can also be as a result of certain medications, certain antidepressants that the woman takes. That can also have an effect on a woman's orgasm, right? And of course, there's being shy type. When a woman is shy, she's not able to explore herself. No matter what you do, she's not able to let go, so she's shy. And then there's the cultural and the religious belief system, the wrong programming. There's the guilt. If you feel guilty about enjoying sex, you will shut down. Yes, you will shut down the next time it's going to happen because you don't feel like you're supposed to. So, you can link that to like the cultural belief or the religious belief. Then there's also the case of sexual abuse. So this also happened to me, right? When a woman has been sexually abused at any point in her life, when she finally meets someone or gets married to someone who is good and patient and all of that, she might still experience a lot of pain, a lot of psychological issues. And so she needs psychological evaluation and she needs therapy. She needs sessions to be able to get through it. So there's a mental health part of it. There's stress.
Yeah.
There's the poor self-esteem. There's relationship issues, unresolved issues. All of these things can actually cause a woman to have anorgasmia. And that affects her sexual life with her husband, and that can actually affect the health of their marriage.
Yes. I mean, that's...
So there's so many. I'm just trying to cut it short so that we don't get into the clinical part of it. Yeah.
I'm sure we'll bring it back at some other time again because time is really fast going as well. I mean, I don't want to even end the show because I'm learning a lot. I'm sure my listeners are learning a lot as well. But on a final note, I want to, we always talk about men, coming because of how men are wired. It's just an advice if you could give it out because I'm sure quite a lot of people it would be beneficial for a lot of people. Where you have this orgasm gap. What I mean by that is, the man, as you mentioned, a woman sometimes takes about 20 minutes for you to actually work it in, like to get all the juices flowing before you actually begin the journey of trying to reach orgasm. But for a man, it's more of like I want to get in there, and you have this notion of the more thrust you do, the better it is. Sometimes it could work, sometimes no. But from a sexologist point of view, how can you address the orgasmic gap between couples within a relationship?
Okay, so addressing the orgasmic gap, I will take that in a bit. But let me also say this, that some men also have sexual problems. So you think that the man has higher libido and the woman has lower libido. There are relationships where the man has lower libido, and the woman is very, very sexually active and needs, all of the sexual attention and probably wants to have sex every day of her life. But the man probably just wants to have sex once in a week or once in a month, right? So when you have issues like that, you need to figure out what the problem is. The same thing, communication, and then maybe see a doctor or see a clinical sexologist, right? And it's also, don't forget that men also have issues like erectile dysfunction where he cannot keep an erection for too long. So even though, yes, a man wants to go in and out, and he knows there's some men that want to, but they can't get it up. So you also need to see a sexologist or see a doctor, because it could be as a result of some medical conditions. It could be as a result of some medications that you're taking. It could be as a result of poor health choices. You're eating the wrong food, you're smoking, you're drinking. All of these things have effects on the man as well. So men also have issues, with their erectile dysfunction as well. And some people use the cock rings because that helps them to stay longer and all of that. And there are also medications that can help depending on what exactly the problem is. So for you to know exactly what to do, the first thing I normally advise couples to do is to go to the hospital, say it as it is, figure it out. The doctor will help you. If the doctor now says it's not a medical thing, it's a psychological thing, that's where you come to us, right? And so addressing the sexual gap, the only thing that can help a man and a woman in a relationship to bridge that gap, because most of the time it's higher on the man. The woman is like down there below, just taking whatever is handed down because of how they were raised, because of what society, permits them to, and all of that. The most important thing for me is communication. When the both of you can talk about it and figure it out, there's so many things. You don't even have to have penetrative sex to enjoy sex. There's so many things you can do beyond just sticking it in and out of her, or accepting. There's so many things a man and a woman can do, but the only way they can get there is if they are able to bridge communication gaps. If they're able to say, okay, you know what, this thing is not helping us in any way. We're constantly pissed at each other or upset. How do we make this right? How do we figure this out? That's the first step. Being able to recognize that there's a problem and you talk about it. Then you're on your way to just having mind-blowing sexual relations all the time, as often as both of you can possibly have it.
Yeah.
So the first thing is communication. Then, of course, learn. Go to the hospital if it's a medical condition. If it's not, then learn. Pay for courses, read a book on sex. There are a lot of them on Amazon, like I keep saying. And if you want quick results, you don't have time to read all these bulky books, then, pay for consultation or pay for courses. That's how to actually bridge the gap. There's no two ways to it.
Fantastic. I mean, it's such an amazing thing on the show today. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, you learned quite a lot on the show today. But, Cecilia, I want to, tell them about your brand. You do have an Instagram page, and you do also help couples, as we mentioned earlier, to talk about issues they might be facing within that relationship. Do you want to tell them more about that?
Okay, so I started Bedroommatterss International 3 years ago. And it was born out of my own pain. Remember, I mentioned that I was raped as well as a child growing up, and that actually did mess with my sexual desire and need. So when I got married to my husband, we had major issues. So the first 4 years was quarreling and it was all sex, right? And so we eventually got to a point where we just knew we needed to sort this out. We needed to figure it out, because my husband is an amazing husband. He's an amazing man, tall, dark, handsome, very calm, very supportive and all. And then I said to myself, Cecilia, you have a great man. You don't want to mess this up because of what you went through as a child. But the good thing was that I also told my husband what I had been through before we got married. So it wasn't something that I was carrying alone. It wasn't a burden that I was carrying alone. And so one of the things I want to say to anybody who's listening now who has been abused and you're in a serious relationship, don't be shy to say it. Because if a man can't handle it, why do you want to be married to someone who can handle your pain, who can handle what you've been through? Because I think one of the reasons why my husband and I were able to get through this early in life was because I told him before we got married. And it was even him who identified that this is still a problem. You haven't dealt with this rape issue. You haven't dealt with this sexual abuse issue. And so when we finally found a cure and we started working our way out of it, I started helping people with the knowledge that I had gained along the way, and then I just, out of nowhere, just started putting things out there, posting, and I started getting calls, started getting DMs, messages, and that's how Bedroommatterss actually was born 3 years ago. Amazing. And I've gone on to get certified in different areas of marriage and all of that. I'm Christian, like I said. I believe that God created sex to be enjoyed within the context of marriage, right? So anything outside that, you won't find me there, right? So you'll find me in this space. So I basically help with my husband's support. I've helped over 10,000 marriages. We have different courses. We have coaching sessions, one-on-one group coaching, and we have courses that are out there. We're helping people to regain, their power, their strength, their sexual strength. A lot of women have been liberated because they've read something on my page or they paid for a certain challenge or a certain course, and it's been amazing. It's been phenomenal, and I just want to use this opportunity to say, don't be shy, ladies. Husbands, don't be shy. Find the time and the guts and the boldness to say, you know what, we need help. Let us find help. Because I also was at that place, years ago, and we sought help, and God has helped us so far. So Bedroommatterss on Instagram is Bedroommatterss, double S at the end, properly spelled. You can send me a DM, you can call me, you can send me an email at info. My email address is info@bedroommattersboss.com. That's info@bedroommattersboss.com.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to, help you out in any way. And might I also add that we'll have couples who have been married for years and have never been able to have penetrative sex. And when they come to us, we have sessions and they are able to. So we're talking about virgin couples who don't know their left from their right. Some have been married 2 years. They've never had sex.
Amazing. How do they cope?
Well, we'll do all the kiss and touch each other. So they will make out, but when it gets to penetration, the woman just won't let it happen, And it takes a lot for a man to stay that long without even looking elsewhere. That doesn't have to be a story. So I also coach people who are trying to get married, right? Give them tips so that wedding night is blissful. Because, again, a lot of couples do not consummate on their wedding night, and that's a fact. Amazing. I didn't even do that. Amazing. Because we're so stressed, we're worried about every other person, and then you get too tired. And then, if you have a couple who are virgins, who know next to nothing, so I don't know, we just sit down and we're just looking at each other.
Amazing.
If you need help, just reach out.
Yeah, so that's at Instagram at Bedroommatterss with a double S. Yes, you can actually... do find the link on our page as well. So if you click on the flyer, she's actually tagged on the flyer on Double9Radio Instagram page as well. So, she's been amazing. She's been great. I'm sure we'll probably find her back on the show as well because I've learned quite a lot tonight. I want to say a big thank you.
Yay.
I want to say a big thank you to you, Cecilia. It's been amazing. It's been great. I've learned quite a lot myself. I'm sure my listeners as well have learned a lot as well. And, I have a fantastic week ahead. And I'm sure we shall hear back from you soon. But before you go, any final words to our listeners out there?
Final words. Take care of each other. Love each other. Continue to learn. Continue to explore. Continue to date each other. I think that's the most important thing. Because I always say to my queens, I call them my queens, right? We're royalty. What you were doing when both of you were dating. You were always trying to be your best. Do things the right way. You wanted him to see you right, you're always slaying at every point in time. Remember those things you were doing when you were dating. And to the men as well, you couldn't wait to see her. You're always calling. Keep dating each other. Don't ever let things get to a point where you're bored of each other and you're taking comfort in another person's arms. It doesn't do anything for you, really, in the long run. It's just a temporary fix that's going to eventually blow up into something else. So keep loving each other, keep communicating, keep dating each other. Understand that your husband is still your boyfriend. Men, understand that your wife is still your girlfriend.
Amazing.
So treat each other right.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Cecilia. We'll Charles, get you back on the show at some
Thank you
point.
for having
It's
me,
been great.
Double9.
It's been
Thank
amazing.
you so
Speak
much.
to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right then. Bye, guys.